Is that really loud? The fan?
No, it just sounds like white noise, just like a buzz.
Okay.
From audio.
Because I had the fan going, I could turn off.
It should be fine. Okay. Because us talking and all that is gonna overpower it. Oh, unless one of us does that, and then
Breathe.
You just keep going, and then that starts hitting.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get the problem out of the system.
Are you using your other pages there, or do you want to rip it so there's no like?
I already did.
I'm gonna be doing like.
Oh, okay. Multiple.
Yeah, Ben ripped it pretty good. Earlier.
Rip it.
Right,
Rip it good. Sorry, go. Crack that fart.
Crack that whip.
No, I said crack that fart.
Oh, God.
Crack. No.
Hey everybody, welcome to Retro Game Night. I am Player 1 and my name is Damien. As always, I am joined with Player 2, Kyle.
Hello.
Player 3, Josh.
Good evening.
And Player 4, Ben.
I almost ate a jiggle sandwich.
And we are here to chat everything, all about things in retro gaming, and sometimes we act like idiots and sneak in some new stuff too. What's going on, fellas?
Jiggle sandwich again, huh?
Yeah, hungry.
We'll never ever forget that voice acting episode.
We just had dinner, dude. Are you still hungry? I have some Oreos, dude. Just carrot cake Oreos.
Mm-hmm. I have
those
the
are
bomb.
amazing.
Crack.
They
It is
are
crack.
I mean,
Mashed up and put in a cookie.
I actually really like the lemon ones.
someone was supposed to get some birthday cake Oreos and they forgot.
Birthday cake.
I've never had those.
Those are really good.
Are they birthday cake?
Birthday. No, it's almost like that guy on YouTube who like did really weird songs and stuff. I forget his name, but he had one called Burst Day. Like he made the beat out of like gunshots and stuff. It was the hardest beat, and then he actually had another song called Burst Day.
Wow.
It's
that
his
level
candle.
Of dedication.
It's his candle loving burst day. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Too weird to talk about right now. So I'm going to move on from that.
That was from Kevin and Bean. So I mean,
I'm going to go into. Let's talk about real quick our live show. That was awesome.
That was really fun.
That was really cool. Once again, thank you for everybody that came to support.
Yes, thank you very much.
That was a blast, and we are going to be there. Next will be July 8th. That we will be at Five Threads Brewery.
Yes, sir.
We will be pending on our theme, but that's when we'll be there. So
we're gonna cover some other stuff before then, and then we'll announce what that new topic is gonna be.
Do you all know what we're covering tonight? E3. No, E3.
5?
3? Okay.
There's a fifth one?
Well, no, we're like 20 or 30. I don't know how many years we've been doing it.
Yeah, how long has E3 been going? That's
all right. Let me look it up.
That actually reminds me, I remember as a kid always looking forward every year to the CES shows, and that's where Super Nintendo, Genesis, TurboGrafx,
that kind of
Consumer Electronics Show.
Right.
I think they still have them in Vegas.
Okay.
And I remember every year it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna show all the great new Turbo.
I remember
Super
they
Nintendo,
would have
whatever
like
games.
you said the Super Nintendo. They'd have like the hundreds of TVs, right? And they would be all like
one image
together, and then the Super Nintendo right there.
Or maybe they'd be playing like Bomberman on all these huge TVs, like all together. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah.
And
CRTs for days, man.
Yeah, so it must have been sometime at least in the mid '90s when E3 started.
Okay,
is my guess.
You got that, Kyle?
I got it.
When did it happen?
The first one was May 11th in 95.
95.
Wow,
you were right on there.
Yeah. Wow,
that was a good guess. Or did you just remember?
I just remembered in the 16-bit.
He lived it.
I lived there. No, I remember in the 16-bit days, just like, what are they going to show at this year's CES? But then, like, E3 came around at some point.
I wasn't even 10. I was a young whippersnapper.
Well, in E3, they talked about a lot of stuff, huge announcements, but I kind of want to go into the stuff that pertains, of course, to retro roots. I mean, I don't mind talking about modern gaming sometimes, but in this case, there's a lot of retroism that is going forth and blossoming forth, like the Breath of the Wild sequel. Did you guys see the trailer for it?
Oh, several times.
Yeah, it looked pretty awesome.
I saw the little bit that they decided to show since it's still in development. There's not really a big trailer for it yet.
Right.
Oh, well, I'd say it's pretty big.
I mean, it's enough for us to walk away feeling excited for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Nintendo has in development right now, just for the fact of, we know there's been rumors about the new system as well that could be in development, but they didn't say anything about that. Then
you're talking about the upgrade and the downgrade, yeah.
Yeah, I really want
what? What do you guys
have? The Switch. There's two more models.
Right. That is it going to be light, like a light?
Apparently,
version.
Probably the controllers are going to be connected.
They don't. Like the Joy-Cons don't come off.
Yeah. Hopefully, they'll still attach to a TV. That'd be nice. But
to be able to just grab like a regular controller or something and be able to still use it, because that'd be really weird if the only way that you could play it is like just dock it, and then as it's docked, you're holding it as you're playing it on the TV. Could you imagine that you're docking?
What are you doing? I'm playing and I'm right against the dock.
No, it's connected to the dock, but it's showing on the TV, and you're sitting there going.
How'd that go?
Well, they said in the announcement that Red Dead Redemption 2 played a big part for the inspiration for Breath of the Wild 2. I don't know if they're calling it anything right now. It's just the sequel of Breath of the Wild, right?
Right.
Which is cool because Breath of the Wild Red Dead in the Wild was already open world. But if they're going Red Dead Redemption style, I mean, that's even open world beyond open world.
That would implement other NPCs. I mean, a lot of NPCs, interactive NPCs, more than what we already had in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be kind of hard to imagine.
More hunting, more
little side quests,
more
and
cooking
stuff.
Your meal kind of thing.
Yeah,
and more interaction with the NPCs, just as far as side quests,
right.
How they react to you.
I wonder if there's going to be a good and bad system. Since this one,
Morality.
the Breath of the Wild, you were like kind of the sole person going around and fixing the land and being the hero. But now you're the hero. Zelda is awakened and she's back. Are you now going to be a good soldier, or are you going to be one that brings intimidation to the land? I wonder if that's going to be an implement to it.
Well, there is a lot of rumor that the power that envelops Link in that teaser trailer may be something to differ from the Sheikah Slate powers that he had in the first game. And who knows, maybe it could be a matter of, hey, maybe Zelda's playable. She has the Sheikah Slate now with its own abilities, and now you have Link with these new powers, and maybe those will give him his own abilities. And I don't know, maybe you could co-op between the two of them, or just play separately and just have different experiences regarding which character you're playing.
They also mentioned that the tone of Breath of the Wild 2, I guess we'll just call it, led fans to believe and theorize that it was going to be in some way related to Majora's Mask, but when indeed it is not related. Yeah, that's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, I like the fact of Majora's Mask being able to put on the Goron mask and being able to be a huge Goron, being able to roll around and have the powers, or even better yet, a Zora, being able to be the fish and being able to swim around effortlessly. That was really cool, being able to do that.
But what about the Gerudo mask?
I don't remember what the Gerudo mask did.
There was none, unless it was just to...
Why'd you say it?
He just wants to make sure you're still awake.
The Great Deity mask at the end was awesome to be able to wield. And it's pretty cool to be able to get that through the amiibos in Breath of the Wild. You don't necessarily have the powers of the Great Deity mask, but you get to have all the clothes and the weapon of it.
But you should.
Yeah, you should. That would
definitely open it up more. I was just trying to trip you up a little bit, like, oh, if you have a Gerudo, do you turn into a 6-foot Amazon woman?
Do you know how many masks were in the Majora's Mask? There was a lot. There was a lot of masks. Like, there could have been a Gerudo mask in there.
I'm gonna ballpark about 30.
I know it didn't
looking it up. We'll have to. I'll check up on that.
I know it didn't transform you into one, but there could have been a Gerudo mask that was in there. So that's why it tripped me up, because I'm just like, Was there any there? I don't remember because there was just so many. I mean, they had a bomb mask that you could walk up to a wall and blow yourself up. You would take damage, but it would still be a bomb mask. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was in there.
How about what they showed about Link's Awakening? I was...
Ooh, that looks good. Even though it's the 2.5 weird kind of 3D, it still looks amazing.
It's a given that one's going to be just phenomenal.
Yes. And even more so, in the Nintendo Treehouse video on YouTube, they bring up the special feature that's unique.
This was awesome.
Yes. So, if you recall, in the 1998 release of the DX version of Link's Awakening, they have that, it was a camera shop or a photography shop.
I don't remember.
I don't remember the feature exactly. I never had the camera that went with it. But that same shack reappears in this new version of the game, but it has a different function now. Now it's called, well, it's Dampé's Shack, but I don't remember. Do you remember what it was called exactly?
No, the video that I saw, it just showed him going into the shack. It didn't give what the name of it was.
Okay, but basically the whole point of it is, rather than being a gravekeeper, Dampé is now setting up chamber dungeons.
Chamber dungeons.
Correct.
Yes. So basically...
Luxurious chamber dungeons?
It depends.
It's possible.
Did you evil chamber dungeons?
No.
Did you
evil.
collect it during your travels?
Mm-hmm.
So basically what happens, as they explained it, is that as you beat the dungeons during the game, you unlock all of those little sub-levels.
That's some serious rupee.
The different rooms that you go into.
Yes, the rooms. And so as you go through, you unlock all of these rooms of all the dungeons you've beaten. Well, Dampé has custom set up outlines for these custom dungeons. So you go in and you take all those rooms that you've beaten and you arrange your own dungeons.
And then and it also looks like you're going to have the ability to, once you create your own dungeon, save that pattern that you set out and then upload it so other people can download your dungeons.
That's really cool.
And then keep going through them, and you can collect rewards and stuff. Like, I think one of the rewards I saw was like a fairy bottle that you get. Well, I mean, some pretty big items that you get out of that. I mean, a fairy bottle is pretty useful. So that was a really cool feature.
That's a nice payout for that.
Yeah.
and as it was explained, it's really smart how they're setting this up. The game won't let you put any more locked doors than keys that you're putting into your own dungeon, and all the doorways have to line up.
Yeah, you can't soft lock somebody in your own dungeon. So I thought that was a really, really awesome feature. Something that's going to keep you busy for a long time, especially if you really like the Zelda games, the top-down versions, and being able to run through those dungeons. You can run through endless dungeons. It looks amazing.
I wonder if they took some inspiration from like Mario Maker, because that kind of started a trend of making stuff, uploading it, having your friends or people play it.
Right.
That's really cool. I like that. They did announce more regarding Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Did you guys hear that they have a date now?
I heard something about it, but
March 3rd, 2020.
Of part one.
Yeah, of part one. So what confused some people was that it's going to require 2 Blu-ray discs.
Yeah.
So
for part one.
People were like, wait, there's 2 parts of the part one. But in reality, it's just that massive, and it's only going to mainly focus on Midgar.
Wow.
I didn't notice any talk of maybe somehow incorporating Before Crisis.
I don't know.
Crisis Core?
No, Before Crisis.
Oh, Before Crisis. I also thought Crisis Core, but
no one else.
Before Crisis, the mobile game, right?
Yes. We never got it.
Okay.
Only Japan got it.
That'd be great if it was like an
That's so
unlockable.
not
Because
fair.
that's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII.
You would have to buy the phone that was compatible for and somehow purchase that app.
Like episodes. You
Yeah.
purchase episodes, if I recall.
And now you don't. I don't think you could even play it in Japan, right? If you wanted to.
I don't think so.
We were talking about this before, I believe, into why Final Fantasy VII was such a big thing out here. And I was recently watching a video of guys and their reactions to E3, and they showed the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and one of them made a really good point, in which right now, when we look at Final Fantasy, it's really all not that big of a deal. We have Final Fantasy games that are coming out. We have Japanese culture that's out here, animes, mangas, everything that we could want. But really, back in the day, when Final Fantasy VII came out, we never had a game like that before.
Before that, we had like Dragon Ball Z as an animated series and a show, right? But actual video games with that kind of, what would be the word?
What, cinematics? Or
no,
what?
no. I know what Kyle's saying. It's more like that was our first real big exposure to Japanese game JRPGs, basically. I mean, a major one.
Yeah, Japanese.
There were ones before that,
but as big as what I'm getting at. I think it was the most biggest one.
Because I mean, you think about the Turbo and Sega CD, they had big games too. Like,
sure, they did.
Full-on animated anime cinemas, you know.
Yeah, but I think this. I mean, for the PlayStation and for that game, I think that was like the first of its kind to be that big.
Yeah, there wasn't really like animes and stuff like that. Much of the Japanese culture that was really big out here until Final Fantasy VII came around and made it so popular with a 3D game, with thinking about how a game set in this type of reality with these types of characters and this type of gameplay was never ever done before. And so being able to do that in this big expansion of a huge world and an entire series, and even the type of story that happened where Ares died, and your
Spoiler
main
alert,
character, come on,
by now you have to have played it.
Hey, it's gonna be Aerith now.
But that's never happened before, where somebody who that was somebody who you wanted in your party, to be able to have that person in there and level her up and get all of her special abilities, to then lose that character is something that really made you mad, and you've never really had that much of a connection to a game. At least I haven't felt one.
I mean, I actually, it's funny, I was actually used to games already having voice acting, animated cinemas. I was already spoiled by the Turbo, and
the Turbo was a different deal.
It was just, I was playing Cosmic Fantasy and crying. Like, I was already used to that, so it was a little weird on Final Fantasy VII, as much as I love it, to not have voice acting. I was so used to voice acting being in my games.
Did the PS1 really have much voice acting during that launch though? Because that was pretty much
I'm sure
launch.
To some
97, I believe it came out. No,
7 wasn't a launch title.
No, it wasn't. You're right.
Because
it came out in like 95, the PlayStation, right?
Yeah, so it might have been like 97. I can't remember.
The game, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it was 97.
So for me, it was a little weird. It was such a big game, but also not having the voice acting for me because of my experience. It was a little weird.
Especially since you're used to it. I wonder why they didn't do voice acting for that one. I wonder if they were kind of afraid to go to new grounds with that.
Possibly.
I also think it could have just been, it was a manga to them, really. It's something that, it was a animated manga that you were looking at and reading.
Well, if you recall, Final Fantasy VIII didn't have voice acting either. It wasn't until 9, right?
No, not 9 either.
10 didn't have
10, yeah.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that was weird for me, once again, because I was so used to voice acting in JRPGs, and then...
Yeah, but I don't think the TurboGrafx was all that popular, because, I was someone who had Sega, and I don't remember voice acting in that unless it was Sega CD. I never owned that.
Yeah, they couldn't do it much on Genesis.
But like, I was NES,
they tried.
SNES.
They tried, yeah.
Sega. A friend of mine had the Saturn, but I don't really remember too much voice acting in that. Like,
I got a bunch
of consoles, and until I met you, I really never knew about TurboGrafx. That's why I think.
Here.
Actually, same here as well.
So I think that's why since you had that console, you were so used to that, but it wasn't a mainstream popular console. No. So to a lot of people, this was their first introduction to manga or the Japanese culture, with as big of a game, with how widespread it was, and also how in-depth that story was. It was their first interaction with something like that, and that's why it was so big.
Yeah, I was just used to it, and it was surprising for me growing up, like 5, 6, 7 years prior to that, already having all this voice acting. And
but then that also leads into an announcement that you have, Ben, that was from E3.
Well, I'm beyond excited that the TurboGrafx 16 Mini was announced. I remember a year or two ago when there was some kind of copyright or something that Konami had put out there for TurboGrafx. Mm-hmm. So everyone in the community was like, "Oh, is there going to be a mini, Turbo coming out?" And sure enough, now they're doing one.
See, I'm excited for that too, because I never had too much experience with the TurboGrafx, and to now have a mini console coming out that's going to have a select of its most popular games, the games that are going to really show off what it did and what it can do, and it's being done by Konami. That kind of makes me excited, because it's a system I've never touched before, and so this is going to be a really cool thing for me to be able to experience and finally be able to hopefully get what makes it so popular for you and why you have so much joy for it. So
Maybe
I'm excited for that.
it might be different just because I grew up with it, so there's a lot of feelings involving around
nostalgia.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's not even like the Genesis Mini. They're not even putting Sega CD games on. It's just the cartridge.
Just the
games.
cartridge. Yeah.
The Turbo Mini, they're putting CD games on. They're putting the big stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
So it's not just the cartridge games.
So it'll have games with voice acting and everything.
It
So
already announced.
That's going to be a robust.
Ys 1 and 2.
It's going to be a robust memory in that thing. I mean, to have all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see if it can be hacked so we can put some more stuff on it.
I'm sure it can
I'm
be.
sure it will be.
And hopefully Konami doesn't pull a Sony and do a bad
PAL
job
versions.
at emulation and just I really hope they do a good job at that.
Yeah, don't use those PAL versions, whatever those
Oh,
were. Those are
PAL,
horrible.
yeah.
But as we learned with hackers, it can be fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe even if something is wrong, I'm sure we'll find a way to fix it.
And it's also for all the mini classic editions of systems. This one actually you can play 5 players on it. You can add a 5-player tap and play Bomberman 5 players if you want.
It's going to have like a
that's
controller
cool.
extension that you can plug it into.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Just like back in the day.
That's
You
great.
can play Dungeon Explorer 5 players, Bomberman, Battle Royale, TV Sports Football, whatever it is, like all these multiplayer games.
Right, because I know the SNES only had being able to put
It had a
three,
few. I think it was 4 or 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Because I know Secret of Mana, that one allowed you to have 3 players at once, and that was really interesting.
Let's go into that. So now we get the Mana Collection.
Mm-hmm.
That's already out, right?
Yeah,
And it's already out digitally, and then there's like
$39.99.
Yeah, and then you can get order a limited edition version of the Switch game, like a physical.
Made by Limited Run, or who's making it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Just
Just curious.
and so they're finally translating the 3rd game in the Mana series.
Which one was that?
Well, it's called Seiken Densetsu 3, but now they're retitling it Trials of Mana.
Oh, okay.
But although besides that, they're actually also doing a complete and utter remake of Trials of Mana to come out, I believe, next year for PS4 and Switch. Like actual third-person view. Total remake.
Right. With the collection of Mana that's out right now, the Trials of Mana, the old game that was on the SNES, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one is translated. And I didn't even know that the first game that was a Mana game was Final Fantasy Adventure.
Mystic Quest. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no,
there
not
is-
Mystic
no,
Quest.
Adventure. Final Fantasy Adventure.
It might have been
Isn't
called...
it Final Fantasy Adventure / Mystic
I
Quest
think
as
Mystic
well?
Quest is what it was called in Europe. There was like some switcheroo in the names,
No.
I'm gonna find out.
if you want to look that up.
But that was kind of interesting. Like, I didn't realize that the Mana games were actually Final Fantasy. It almost sounds to me like when the Mana games were coming out, Final Fantasy was popular. So they're like, no one's going to play it unless it has a Final Fantasy in the front of it. So let's slap Final Fantasy on
Yeah,
it.
at least in the U.S., because in Japan they're called Seiken Densetsu, which is like Legend of Holy Sword or something
Okay.
like that, from
I'll
what I
admit
remember.
that is what drew me into that one way back when, and I actually
That it said
You're-
Final Fantasy.
yeah, it's a Final Fantasy game. I really enjoyed it. I think I borrowed it from a friend back in grade school
For Game Boy. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And years later, back when I was an adult and credit card and eBay, and I got it. I either got it on eBay or I found it at a GameStop in one of those little collection, little
Where
libraries.
they hold all
Yeah.
the little... Yeah.
And so I got it and I played through it again, and I still have it, and it's an enjoyable little experience. I mean, you got to ride a chocobo, and then you eventually upgraded him to a chocobot.
Although, and recently there was a remake of sorts for... I'm not sure what all systems it was for. I know I played it on the Vita. It was a remake of that. I forget what it was called. But it was a straight, like... I don't know if I want to call it was a port, but like with updated graphics. Kind of like the Secret of Mana port that was done recently.
Well, it was
That
black and
was
white,
horrible.
so
Like a remix.
yeah.
It was... No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy. I'm talking about the remake recently,
Oh, okay.
including Secret of Mana. I enjoyed it. So I don't know.
By the way, so it was called Final Fantasy Adventure, but it was called Mystic Quest in Europe.
Okay, that's what. I remembered that. Okay.
I always thought those were 2 separate games.
Well, they are, because the Super Nintendo did have a game called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Yeah.
Totally different game though. I think it was like I think it might even been U.S. Made in the U.S. North American whatever game, but then eventually they ported it over to Japan and called it Mystic Quest USA or something like that. I can't remember.
They're stupid. It's the U.S. edition.
Yeah.
So they just split it up and ended up making different game series for them then.
Sort of.
So weird.
Everything got switched around, and yeah.
That's so weird.
It was still early.
Yeah.
We didn't know better back then.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the third Mana game never came out here. Eventually, somebody did, translated the ROM, and I did play through a bit of that.
Yeah.
And then I had to reformat my computer. I ended up losing the save file. I never got back to it, so it'll be nice to finally actually play this.
Yeah, it'll be a good opportunity to do that.
Did you guys hear about Final Fantasy VIII?
Yeah, and the voice acting they're adding.
Finally. I mean, it's been snubbed so many times.
Long.
Yeah, I'm just excited they got Kermit the Frog to reprise his role
Glad
as
he
Squall.
is coming back. Yeah.
Hi ho! I have a gun sword.
No, but I am excited because for the longest time it was just the PC port that was the one,
The special
the
edition.
special, yeah. But this will be on the Switch, on I think the other platforms as well, Xbox One and PS4.
Now I don't know
Kyle's
if there's
over
going
it
to be.
apparently.
No, it's just I already have like a portable version of it.
I
on the
haven't
Vita.
played that game in so long. It'd be nice to play an upgraded version.
But I have it for the Vita. I can take it on the go if I want to play through it quick. I can get a walkthrough. I just don't really see the big deal about it being remade.
I think one of the things, though, is that it's the only game that hasn't been remade, like cleaned
Out
up
of all
of
of them,
all the other
yeah.
ones. From 7 on up.
Final Fantasy IV was remade.
That was I played through all of that
Yeah.
on the PSP.
3 was right.
3 was remade in 3D, and
3D,
it was
that's
okay
right,
for
on
both
the
3DS and
3D,
PSP.
Yeah.
And iOS, I believe, too.
Oh,
when I
yeah,
think about
that's
it.
right.
You know what's really sad that we've been talking about this entire time is just remakes and sequels. There's no new ideas going out right now.
Well,
Wait,
with the
wait,
exception...
wait. There is.
One. Ooh, tell me about it.
Well, actually, kind of new, kind of not, but definitely something retro. Pokemon
Which one is
Sword and Shield.
it? Okay.
I had a chance to see the Nintendo Treehouse video on this, and I have to admit it checks off almost all of the boxes for me.
It's a sequel.
Yes, but it's a long-running series, and the game style is very similar to the way it was back in. Let's see here. What year was that? 1998.
The Stone Age.
When Red and Blue first came out, they are still standing there, wiggling at each other to tackle attack and fire attack. It is still the same, standing in place. And if you haven't quite caught by my tone yet, that is
Sarcasm, please.
that is the only reason why I give it a little bit of a notch down. But everything else might actually get me back into the game series because it's free roaming. You're running around. While you may not see some of the Pokemon in the bushes, you do see where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go over there and you get their attention, it's random what you get, but you can visually see where they are. And then there's other cases where they do show up. You can whistle to them, and
Your cat
Like
calling
that.
to your Pokemon.
some will run away.
Hey,
and some-
sexy, come over here.
and some will chase after you whistle at them.
Or they like the Cubone and they cry and run away.
Could be. I didn't see any in the video.
What gets you excited for this one in particular?
It's
Josh?
the
I think it's
whistling.
just- it's
I
a
think it
lot
really
more-
is the whistling.
It's a lot more visual. You're out there when the battle happens. You're still out there. It doesn't take you to another area. You are right there.
What
And-
did you play? Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
I did not play those.
Okay.
I told you I've been away since I would say Pearl, Emerald, and
Puce.
Fire Red. Not
okay.
that one.
Oh, you didn't play Pokemon Puce?
No.
Okay.
So it's an open environment. When it's daytime, you see the sky. When it's nighttime, when it's raining, you see the rain everywhere. And it, as in previous games, it does affect what you're gonna find out there. But you can actually see it though.
Are you talking about like actual weather that when it's outside, if
Yes.
it's raining outside in real life, then it's raining in the game?
No.
Oh.
In the game, but every day,
So it's its own
different
weather
areas
Weather cycles.
is going to
Well,
have.
that's
yeah,
boring.
Well,
but it's more
what,
visual.
What
You
is
can
it?
see
I'm seeing your face on this, Kyle, and you're not thrilled, and why? Because you like Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
He's Digimon Ho.
I thought that was an interesting thing. I still haven't beaten it. I haven't touched it in forever. So I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of over the Pokemon thing, where it's like, I'm excited for Pokemon if they actually changed up how the game plays. Instead of it being, stand here and I'm going to wiggle at you and then tackle and stuff like that, actually kind of have it a little bit more action adventure, where you send out your Pokemon and then you can control them, and then it's more of like an actual battle, like in what was that, the Poke-Tech or something like that, the fighting game on the Switch, which is a little bit more interesting. It kind of seems like Tekken a little bit, but with Pokemon.
Right.
But it just seems like, again, it's just the same game, the same mechanics, just reskinned and throw it out there because it's a moneymaker. I'm just tired of it.
But I feel they're closer to that, though. They're really close. That concern is the one thing that I do feel is missing. Like, I want to be able to run my Pokemon around some sort of, projected virtual space.
Yeah.
And okay, I have this little ground-based Pokemon, and there's something. I'm fighting one that's flying in the sky. You're not going to tackle it. It's out of range.
Right.
But if you do some other attack, I'd like to see a projected attack range or an area of effect that I can control based on their movements. I want to actively be able to control the Pokemon, and I feel like this is as close as they've gotten to that without getting to that one point yet. And I think they're close.
It doesn't sound like it, because you just said they took a step back and made it the whole thing of how it originally was. And to me, that's just like, okay, how many games have there been? I'm kind of over it. And there's over 500 Pokemon now, because there's new Pokemon being put out there.
My point I was going to say
closer to 800 now, I think.
Couldn't it be said that it would be the same way with, another Zelda game? Because essentially you're doing the same thing again.
But the Zelda games have more of an action-adventure feel, where you have more control over your combat and stuff. With Pokemon, it's, you got a list of 4 moves. I want to do this one. Okay, then they do it. Okay, then I want to do that one. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't get to really... It's a dice roll, really, is what it is. And in a video game, you kind of want to be able to have a bit more control. Back in the day, that was fine. It was great. Yeah. Being able to do that was fantastic.
It was new.
We're now coming into 2020.
Yeah.
And how many games have there been now?
Exactly. We should be able to do something more than just, I want that attack. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting ridiculous. It feels like to me what they do with Call of Duty, and I'm sorry, fans of Call of Duty, if you're out there, but all your games are the same, except for they're just reskins. Yeah, and then they pimp it out there as it's a brand new game. It's like, no, it's not. It's the same mechanics. It's just...
But that's the mechanics that would make a shooter. A shooter is a shooting game. You have your grenades, you have your melee, and then that's it. You have a mission.
You walk
it's always going to be that.
Other games can do different things with their mechanics. It just seems like that one in particular, that series, they just push them out so much. Yeah, and it's just the same thing over and over again.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm not the only the only thing that's kind of interesting again is what they introduced in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is the Pokeball Plus. It's not a controller for the game, but you can connect your Pokeball Plus to the game and be able to put a Pokemon in the ball and take them with you. They can level up or interact with them in the ball, and then when they come back, they have a special gift or something. They said something special will happen if you use that. So that, okay, but still, we're coming into 2020. You have a little Pokeball. You can't have an actual voice go along with it instead of in the ball. It could say what the Pokemon would actually say. It could be, Pikachu and Eevee.
Like in the cartoon series?
Yes. Pikachu and Eevee actually say Pikachu and then like for Eevee. But everything else is like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just sounds. They're not voices. And it's like, come on.
So let's just say you're getting tired of it because you've been, since Generation 1, seeing all these games coming out the same way. What about maybe the thought that it's being made for children today? Like the way it was for you when you were younger? It's new for them.
I get that. But if they're...
for people like you, wouldn't be as interesting because you've already been there. You've already done it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But for someone who has that nostalgia factor to it, I would like to see it evolve a little bit more than just them rehashing. Again, like I said, everything that we've been talking about, except for Breath of the Wild, has been. I mean, even Breath of the Wild has been remakes.
Breath of Redemption, you mean?
And sequels. You know what I mean? It's like there's no new. I said new idea. You said, "Oh, got one," and then it was Pokemon. I'm like, it's a sequel. The only new thing
I
really
on that one. So you
is like, I'm looking at my list of a lot of stuff, and
okay. Let me take another stab at it. You're
Nothing.
talking about Flight Simulator by Microsoft. They are redoing that one.
another
Are
remake.
they really? No.
I just saw a short little clip of it. It looks so realistic, but it was only like a few seconds.
You're being serious? They're really doing it?
Yes,
Why?
Microsoft is doing that.
Why are they doing that?
Maybe they're trying to do a flight simulator with real
Okay, maybe
world.
if it was
Because
like
they're
in
not
VR.
original.
Okay, if it was in VR, that'd be okay. I get it, but it's not in VR. They don't have a
Okay.
VR.
So, I mean, I have one more, but I definitely don't want to hog the ideas. What were you thinking then?
No, I mean, I mean, again, another sequel, Luigi's Mansion 3. I mean, that's gonna come out, and it's another sequel, and you're in a. I'm sorry, I'm losing it because it's just so many sequels and stuff. There's nothing new. There's nothing to be excited about.
And speaking of which, there was no mention of Metroid 4.
Yeah, or Prime Trilogy.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Prime Trilogy.
But again, remake and sequel. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna get off of that. It's just
Sometimes I like the lather, rinse, repeat. That's just me, though. I know a lot of people get upset with the game. Oh, well, it's the same thing over and over again. Here it is. It's just paint over this. And
yeah.
for me, it's if
let's-
something works. Like for me personally, sometimes I really like sequels and remakes.
Yeah. Let's
and
look at it this
that's
way
me.
for a second, because I'll try to look at it from a different angle here. If games that are new, that are coming out, modern games, suck, we get them, we play it, it was dumb, or we didn't like it, boring, not what we thought it would be, but then we put on the latest Pokemon game, which has been repetitive. We've already been there, but yet that's kind of that comfort zone of, I know what this game's going to be like, because they're all kind of the same, reskinned. It'll still be good, as opposed to this brand new game I just played that just, was terrible.
Yeah, but I also have this for you. Sonic for a long time was just the side-scrolling thing, and then Dreamcast came out and you had Sonic Adventure, and that was awesome. And
It was
completely redid.
It was different. It was 3D.
Sonic 3D Blast. Thank you very much. Drop the mic.
But they did new things with it, and they added different mechanics to it. The jumping and the homing attack in the air,
Yes.
and doing the snowboarding stuff in the 3D, and being able to switch to the different characters, and each of them had their different. That was cool. That was an original idea built on an old character, and to me, it should be evolving a little bit.
So let me ask you, you seem to kind of know what you want. Now let's just go with the Pokemon idea, because I agree with you in the regard that it's been redone a lot. I've only played 2 from all of them that I can remember.
Played at least 0 of them, I think.
And how would you make it innovative and different?
Like we had kind of talked about with Josh, what they're doing in the world, which is you kind of seeing where the Pokemon is, being able to attract them or something, and then you're gonna fight them, and you're in that physical space. You're not being teleported to a phantom reality where you're just in this pile of grass.
Battle zone.
Yeah, in the battle zone. But then being able to throw the Pokeball out, and then it becomes an actual Pokemon fight instead of them just standing there and you give out the commands like in a regular RPG.
Like Smash Brothers.
They're not doing... Yeah, it could be something like that. They're not doing that anymore with Final Fantasy games. They're more action-adventure. They're more open, more
Right.
able to
They're not
have a
turn-based.
dynamic... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Pokemon is sticking with that turn-based. And then I get it. They're sticking with kids. They're grabbing the imagination of kids and making it easy for them to be able to play it. And I get that.
Yeah.
But to grab people like me who have been with it since the beginning... I'm tired of that. I want something new to it. I want to be able to do something different.
The same game. You just want it to not just be reskinned, but you want a new dynamic to it. You want a brand new spin on innovative. The mechanics you want to be different.
Yeah.
So work with me here. I have an idea. Do a crossover with Digimon.
Digimon?
Crossover. Would that work for you? Would
I never
that make
did
it
Digimon.
fresh?
I've never done Digimon.
and make it a military strategy game.
Now if you brought
Counter-Strike.
Now if you brought Yu-Gi-Oh into it, that's a different. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I never.
There we go.
touched
So
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon and Pokemon and Beyblade, and yeah, that would make it fun.
I just want something that has a little bit more gusto to the battle system than, because Final Fantasy has done it. It started from a little, from back in the day, turn-based, and now modern day, they're massive open fights.
Yeah, they went away
and
from
kids
the
can do
turn-based.
it.
Yeah,
Kids can play that. That's fine. They just
Right.
got to learn it a little bit.
yeah.
Pokemon can do it too. They can do a little bit more with it, and it just kind of saddens me to see that they could do so much with this franchise, and yet they keep doing the same thing over and over again. They're still gonna make it. Don't get me wrong. They're still gonna make a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
Trust me, they will make a ton of money.
I mean, look what they did with the movie. That's
But,
it's
yeah.
keeping it alive. For
But
sure.
it's just gonna, it's gonna drive me away. I bought the newest stuff on the 3DS with the Mega Evolutions and all that in it, and I haven't beaten those because okay, it's the same thing over again.
Well, if it's any consolation, like I was saying, I really feel like this is they're getting close. I feel like they're almost there.
Then I'm gonna buy the next one because I'm gonna leave this one alone.
So if anyone eventually gets to this from Nintendo, please hear our cries.
Include Digimon and Beyblade and Mr. Rogers.
Hey,
please.
they have a Digimon. It's called Porygon.
No, but crossover, my friend. Crossover.
Porygon, that's good.
Do not listen to Ben. You will lose all your money.
Mr. Rogers meets Pokemon. That's it.
Would you like to be my Pokemon?
Would you like to be my Poke? Pikachu.
Oh no, please no.
Well, getting back to an idea that Damien touched on, sometimes if a franchise tries to do something that's too unique and too far out there and too different from the rest of the franchise, it doesn't always work out. And because maybe sometimes people feel that, oh, this is too different, it doesn't work right, it's not familiar enough, and so I do kind of see where Damien was coming from on that. And there actually was a all-new game, and this one may not be fully retro, but it does kind of harken back to a little bit more of the slower RPG. Well, I say slow to an extent, but it was called John Wick Hex. And now I haven't seen the film series, but I obviously have seen enough about it. And this is actually supposed to be a prequel. And rather than just a first-person or third-person action game, it's actually a strategy game that's time-based. And so you decide what direction you move him in, as well as actions. So if he comes across someone, do you shoot him? If you're able to get up close to him, you can disarm them, and then you can shoot, and it's constantly moving.
Move to the left, you can pat him on the back.
Yes. And then flip them around, and then take away their gun, shoot them with it, and
then shake his
on.
hand.
Okay. But it's a strategy game, you said.
It's set as a strategy game. It's not complete. It
That's
does
interesting.
pause, and that's why I wonder.
Finally, a game you can pause.
For a guy that supposedly moves as fast as John Wick, yes. And I guess I was looking into this a little bit more, and it does, at the end of each level, allow you to replay it, or you see a replay in real time, so you see how your character would move as he goes through and takes out or disarms everyone in that level.
That's weird.
It would be nice if it was a bit more of a cinematic, because it is a very far top-down view to it.
Isometric or something?
Right, so it does kind of harken back. I've seen some of the videos of like the original Metal Gear games, and it almost seems like that, but with a special angular kind of grid system to determine how he moves.
So like
throughout
Metal
the
Gear
level.
Acid?
Oh, yeah. Kind of like that. You're right.
That actually kind of reminds me of Frozen Synapse.
What's
You
that?
would do that. It was a top-down, very simple game where everything was blue, and you either had a team your team was green and the enemy team was red, and you got to control each person as they came out, kind of like XCOM. If you remember XCOM, you couldn't see the other players' characters, and as you moved, you got to choose choose your guys to be able to like watch over a window. And so you would have like an assault rifle guy, a shotgun guy, a grenade guy, a melee guy, something like that. And you got to choose between, you know, hiding in cover or standing up and aiming out a window. And if they were ready and an enemy came past the window, they would have the person who was sitting and aiming had a quicker reaction time, and they were able to take the guys out. But it was kind of like a tactical like shooter type game. And at the end of it, you got to save a replay, and you could see both players. You could see how each person moved from a top-down viewpoint, and how each one, you could see where you made the mistake because you thought they were coming one way, but they actually doubled back and went around or something like that. It just kind of reminds me of something like that. So that just kind of reminds me of what you're talking about, of them stitching together the gameplay of what you just did. It reminds me of that. And then Frozen Synapse also had a way for you to upload directly to YouTube too, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so John Wick people, if you could upload your stuff to YouTube so people could easily share their videos, that would be kind of a cool little feature.
And so it's still a bit early to tell how that game's gonna go, but some people may not choose to like it. They may prefer just the first-person shooters as we've been covering, but maybe this will work out. Maybe this will turn into something.
At least they're trying something.
Right.
What about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order?
Ooh.
That looks pretty
I
awesome.
never heard anything about that. What is it?
I saw a picture.
A picture.
A picture.
It looked great.
Mm-hmm.
So in the day and age of online multiplayer everything, this is actually a single player.
What?
Yeah. Where you play a Padawan who survived Order 66.
Pat who?
Padawan.
I don't know Mr. Awan.
Padawan Kenobi. Okay.
Yes. And so basically your character is trying to survive now that the Empire is taking over.
Mm-hmm.
And through some of the videos I've seen, he actually joins up with Saw Gerrera's rebellion team. If you recall, he was played by Forrest Whitaker in Rogue One.
Oh, okay.
And his younger self is in the Clone Wars series.
I did hear something about that. Yeah.
So that was just a little bit. It doesn't seem like you're gonna play as a overpowered character like Starkiller from the Force Unleashed games. He is a Padawan and he does develop his powers, but it does seem like an interesting game and a nice little addition to the Star Wars mythos.
It seems like it reminded me, as you said, single player. It reminded me of Force Unleashed, so
Yes.
it's kind of classic in that way. They don't need to make a game that's multiplayer. I mean, why did they have to make a Star Wars game always multiplayer? They don't have to. You know, make it a single player story where it was just make it as good as one of the movies.
A good story.
Yeah, I mean, not to knock on the other ones because the other ones recently were great.
That's kind of the fun thing about multiplayer, though, is you get to share the experience with someone else. So if you actually have friends who are really big into Star Wars, to be able to share that experience with them, especially since a lot of games nowadays aren't really couch co-ops anymore, to be able to have that feature in a game is pretty cool to be able to do.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think it should be awesome. I'm always up for a new Star Wars game, especially if it's an original story. I mean, even if it wasn't, if it was based on a book or something, that's fine too. But brand new story, brand new game, yeah.
And I believe Limited Run, they announced a whole bunch of re-releases of Star Wars games, including like Shadows of Empire for N64.
Did they really?
They're, if I read right, Dark Forces for PC, like all these different.
Are these ones being released for not consoles but for PC?
No, like my understanding is they're remaking like Shadows of the Empire, for instance, for N64. They're they're literally making an N64 cartridge. Unless I read wrong.
Huh, I'll have to look into that.
That would be interesting.
That'd be cool.
Being able to redo cartridges, because the cartridges aren't being made anymore. They're so expensive. It'd be cool if Limited Run actually did something like that. Something that I saw that was really interesting that's coming out this year in September 3rd. You guys remember Spyro? Spyro the Dragon?
The purple one?
Oh, of course.
Was it the fuchsia one?
Yes, the specific color of the purple.
The violet one.
Yeah. They're actually doing a remake of the trilogy and putting it out on Switch. It's called the Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Oh, that came out already for PS4,
yeah, that's old.
so they're porting it?
Yeah, I have it for PS4.
Well, okay,
cool.
fine.
From last year.
So 2018.
Correct.
Well, September 3rd, 2019, they're for the Switch.
Ooh.
So
That's
I thought
cool.
that was pretty cool.
Portability.
I didn't
That's always fun.
hear about the remakes in the past, so excuse my ignorance.
No,
well,
but
they're doing that a lot more now too, because I know Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age was released last year for the PlayStation 4, but just recently they released it for the Switch also.
Yeah, I picked it up because that's another thing I like about the Switch, the portability of it. That makes me want. And if the graphics are just as great as, let's say, a PS4, I mean, it won't be 4K upgradable, let's say, but the fact that it's that polished up, looks good, and portable, I'm in for that.
And then the other thing that's really cool about the portability with the Switch, to be able to put out, this kind of had a little bit of portability back when it was on the Wii U, because you had the tablet, you could play with it a little bit.
Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, Super Mario Maker. They're coming out with the second one. It's actually coming out June 28th, so really, really soon.
Now, my question, what Mario games will it be that you can customize?
It almost seems like pretty much everything.
Is there any hope for Super Mario Brothers 2?
That would be really cool.
That would be interesting.
That's
really
still
cool.
my favorite Super Mario.
Yeah,
I don't know.
great.
I don't like the graphics of it, though. I don't like the way it looks.
Really?
Yeah. It always weirded me out that it looked completely different than the other ones.
Yeah.
And I understand
I
I was
why.
always fascinated by the way it looked.
It does stand out as more unique, which I like about it.
More cartoony.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they're doing a lot more features, a lot more of like the twisting and turning of different plants and the ladders, it looks like, and stuff like that. It looks really interesting to be able to take it portable too. Now, I mean, truly portable,
Like,
not
truly
just on
portable
the
is great.
tablet.
Because
It looks
especially
really
for
cool.
something like Super Mario Maker, you can take your time. You can hop on a bus if you travel or commute and create stuff. I mean, it's like you go anywhere you want to do that and not have to sit in front of your TV every time you do it.
Truly taking your time and getting meticulous. I mean, the levels on the Super Mario Maker were so meticulous already, to be able to take that extra time and then be able to load up a bunch of them at once. And then, like you said, taking it to go, saving them for offline play. That's going to be really awesome.
That's the thing. You could create for like a good 5 minutes if you just got 5 minutes of your time, put it in sleep mode and continue on later, whereas you couldn't always do that at home. You had to sit and make time for it.
And I think, as you were mentioning, I think it's going to be a bit safer to set up levels while you're on the road because, I don't know, I think it's going to be a little dangerous for the Switch to be playing Mario Maker 2 because some of those levels got so ridiculously hard you just wanted to throw the controller across the room. I don't think you can do that with the Switch.
No, you shouldn't.
Don't throw it out the bus.
Get a really good case for it. That's very...
Get that loop like with the Wiimote.
It automatically,
seriously.
its armor automatically surrounds the Switch as you throw it.
Yeah, it comes with the game.
Mm-hmm. You mean like the Batmobile?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes.
It would be really cool if they included a stylus with it, since the Switch is touchscreen.
That would be stylish.
That would be very stylish. That'd be so cool because of the way it was on the Wii U. You can draw on the blocks, in large quantity, and you can do that again. That'd be awesome.
I mean, does a regular touch stylus not work with the
I don't know.
Switch?
No, you need an irregular one.
I haven't tried it. I have no idea, but that'd be awesome to look into. I never thought of it.
Yeah, just get the regular touch ones because a lot of the styluses nowadays are very specific to the device that they're on.
Yeah.
So if the device doesn't have the hardware in it to have a device-specific stylus, then it should just work with any of the touch styluses. The really weird ones that look like a fingertip.
You would think that, yeah.
Or the ones that look like a Master Sword.
That would be awesome. Well,
I want to know what games will be makeable,
covered,
customized. So I guess we'll have to wait for more announcements. Did it give a date at all? Kyle, did you?
Yeah, June 28th. So in a couple days
or something. Or?
So there has to be something online. I haven't kept up with it, but we'll have to look up. Yeah, that'd be cool. Super Mario 2, I really hope so. Ben, that'd be
really interesting.
But at the very least, at least Luigi is now being included. He is there on the cover art.
Right. Yeah.
The brother gets
as much as his show is as Mario's.
And he does his flutter, maybe. His little fluttering legs.
And then one last thing for me. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. There's a new character that's going to be coming out this fall. Really interesting.
I heard about this. Who is it?
Banjo-Kazooie.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
That's going to be such an interesting...
Yeah,
now...
Nice.
Nice.
There we go. It's going to be really interesting. The different attacks that he's done, that he really uses Kazooie in his attacks. Like being able to do distance shots by grabbing his feet and pulling along his body, and he shoots out like a rock. It's such a weird thing. And then he uses them as a club for like his down smash. It's so bizarre.
What character would this make it as far as the roster? How many characters are on there?
Over 70.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they're even coming out. Yeah. They're even coming out with. It's not this one that's coming out in fall. I think this one's coming out in 2020 or maybe the end of 2019.
No, it's gonna be a while.
But it's gonna. Well, yeah, there was like 5 of them that were gonna come out in the span of like this year and then a little bit in the next year.
Wow.
If so that's a Microsoft property, technically speaking, rare,
rare,
right? Yeah. So man,
but so was Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, and then also.
Well, Donkey Kong though was a Nintendo owned property though.
What's his name? That was the alligator.
Alligator?
Are you talking about King K. Rool?
Yes, King K. Rool.
Also from Donkey Kong.
Yeah, but also a Nintendo property though.
Yeah.
So they have
like
Final
Rare
Fantasy,
is owned by Microsoft, I think.
Well, they have like Final Fantasy characters and a bunch of stuff. I mean, they're putting in, like I said, this next character that's going to come out are the Dragon Quest heroes. Their Echo characters are going to be the different characters, which are really cool too.
My thought was, I all of a sudden started thinking it'd be great to have the Battletoads in it.
That would be awesome if they put
that would be rad.
In.
I mean, I'd love that.
But yeah, so I mean, Super Smash Brothers is like my game. I love that game so much. So to see these new characters coming out, being able to see how the pros really do them. I mean, if you ever watch any of the Genesis tournaments, they are insane, some of the one-on-one battles that you see on there. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the pros pick up these new characters, to see what type of tier these guys are in, and to see what people can do with them. It's just really awesome.
Yeah. Going back to the Turbo Mini Ben, do you happen to know, because I haven't kept up with it, what games have been announced, or if there's any that they said?
They've announced only 6 so far, and they said there's more to come.
And which ones are they?
I know Ys 1 and 2 is one of them, CD game, so that shows there's going to be other CD games on there.
Excited about that.
And
that'd be cool to see how those started, because I have a Ys game for my Vita, and I still don't really understand the concept of it.
It's awesome. I haven't played it through, but so good. I like it.
And that's one of the ones, old game, but great voice acting.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to that.
So it won't be like the PSP version that came out, right?
No.
Yeah, the Origins, right?
Not Origins. I know Chronicles. No.
Oh, maybe it's Chronicles. I don't know.
There's been so many re-releases over like the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I get them mixed up.
So it's just gonna be the original, untouched
for Turbo CD.
Turbo CD version.
Like one of the oldest versions, but also one of the still considered to this day one of the nicest versions of Ys 1 and 2.
Are they going through any translation, like having to redo any of the games in English? Or?
Well, I'm hoping they do. There are some games that, like Cosmic Fantasy 3 is one that apparently was done, ready to go, never got released. So hopefully Working Designs will, if that's true, they'll give the go-ahead. And
you said you played Cosmic Fantasy, though.
2.
Oh,
that was released in English.
Okay.
Yeah, and great game. But there's a whole series of them.
Why do they do that? They sometimes release like one, but not the other. Especially, it's so irritating. What's the sequel?
I know why. The first one. I know with Cosmic Fantasy 1, it wasn't quite as it was kind of archaic compared to 2, so they were going to wait a little while and release it at a budget price originally, but that never happened. Well, but
if the minis being released in the United States, they better all be translated and be able to be enjoyed by us.
Well, some games, like if they do, for instance, the Castlevania game that never came out in the U.S., they may or may not translate it. It has been translated, like what on the PSP version. I think that was translated in English, but I think when they released it on WiiWare, it was in Japanese.
That's really weird that they would release a game like that that's not translated into English.
It's very playable.
In the US.
Action games, very playable. RPGs, not so much.
Right.
But as far as other games that were announced, Ninja Spirit, great old ninja game. Was it Utopia? Or no, Dungeon Explorer. Another one, 5-player action RPG, kind of like Gauntlet, but kind of like Zelda.
Is it coming with 2 controllers or just one?
That it shows one, but I'm not sure. It has 2 controller ports, which is unusual because the original Turbo and PC Engine they only had 1 controller port originally.
Oh, really?
And then you get the multi-tap and have 5.
Oh, okay. You have to buy the adapter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But this one will have 2 USB ports for 2 controllers.
So maybe they'll release another adapter.
There will be an adapter. They announced an adapter.
Okay.
And what else? R-Type for those R-Type lovers out
cool.
there. And
that'll be the CD version. Right?
No, that'll be the cartridge version.
Cartridge version.
Yeah. There is a CD version, but there's no point in bringing that out here. And then there is going to be a new Adventure Island.
Ooh, a new one.
Yes, new Adventure Island.
But it's new.
But it already was released, a new Adventure Island.
Yeah,
and there was
yeah.
another
It was just
Adventure
called
Island.
Yeah.
So it's a newer Adventure Island.
But
new is
newish.
considered from the NES.
From the
version.
NES and Super.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the newest.
But yeah, I believe there's 6 games total. I mean, I can't remember if I covered all of them, but I believe they're going to be asking people on social media, what games would you like to see on the Turbo Mini?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And there are other games shown in the background that haven't been announced yet, like, once again, Castlevania, which is announced for the Japanese release, but not for the US. And another game, Sapphire, which is a 2-player shoot-'em-up, very highly sought out, like, I don't know, like worth like $700 or something on eBay. But yeah, hopefully there'll be games that were never released on it. I don't know. We'll see.
What price did they say it would be at?
They didn't say.
They didn't say yet.
They didn't say yet.
Guess
So
we'll see
hopefully 70 or 80. That you got to think also you got to buy a tap to play the multiplayer. Like, how much do they really want people to spend on this thing? Like, they want them to buy it. So
yeah. And did they give a date?
They did not give a date.
So there's
not
just
yet.
nothing but a couple games and
6 games
and hey, we're doing it.
And the fact that there's an adapter.
Yeah, hopefully like I say, hopefully it'll be a Bomberman. Hopefully 94. It's the best of the 3 on the Turbo.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great games they can put on there, including CD games and some of the games with some of the worst voice acting.
That'll be fun to talk about again.
Like Last Alert and Final Zone 2 and such. So
see, that's why I'm excited for it, because it sounds like they're going to be listening to the fan base, to the players who have good memories of the games that they've played on it, and that they're going to be putting them on to that. That makes me excited to be able to really test what people really enjoyed on that console, since I've never touched it. So I'm excited for that. That's really cool.
What company's making it?
It's Konami.
Konami will be actually making it.
They are making, because it was NEC and Hudson who originally got together and made it, but then NEC, they've gone off, done their own thing, and Hudson, they eventually got bought out like 2011, I think, by Konami. So now Konami has a lot of or all the rights to it, however that works.
For a reminder for our listeners, Konami responsible for Metal Gear Solid series,
Castlevania,
the Turtles series back when it was in the arcade and for the consoles, Castlevania, Contra. So they're in good hands with something like this. They know what they're doing. It's
hopefully
exciting.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I hope there should be Bonk games on it too, and I'm really, really hoping
I'm sure that they will. That was
they weren't announced.
Yeah.
Not for the U.S. version, anyways. They were for the Japanese.
I did hear there was going to be different games on the Japanese versions.
But I'm hoping that'll somehow bring Bonk back into the light and bring more games out. That's just my own personal.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that then.
So when we hear anything about that, then we'll make sure to leave a post or make a mention on a future podcast. So if any of you out there who have played the TurboGrafx, then you could voice your say too as to what games you want on the console for when it gets released.
And we'll be making an episode reviewing it. Same with when we get the Sega Genesis Mini. We'll get a review and play it and see what we think of it, see if it actually lives up to our expectations, because there's been a few that haven't, so we'll see what happens. So honorable mentions for things that were not there, one of them being, couple being Metroid Prime 4 and Metroid Prime Trilogy. The port from the Wii to the Switch wasn't talked about at all this year, so there's that.
Yeah, I wish
they would have. Yeah,
those were really good on the GameCube. So to be able to play those again on the Switch would be really cool.
Yeah,
I actually played them recently on the Wii.
Yeah, so we'll see if maybe they'll talk about it soon enough.
And I don't remember if the new Atari was mentioned there, but I'm looking forward
I don't think
to.
It was.
I know it's up for pre-order now.
Oh, okay.
But I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna sit back and see how it does. See, I really haven't seen any games specifically for it. Of course, I would love them to do like a Atari Jaguar Mini or something. But
that would be great. Yeah, that's a nice rare gem that people don't know much about.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't see there that I was really looking forward to hearing some more news about was The Last of Us 2. I know it's not really a retro game.
I'm going to say it is because it was PS3 days. So there.
Well, Last of Us, sure. Last of Us 2, though, being able to see Ellie, 3 years later, and she's more of a, an adult. She was 14, so, either early or late, 17, 18. Just the different dynamics of that game, and just being able to play as Ellie in the first game was a really cool thing that they allowed you to do. So to be able to do more of that in this one and continuing the story, it was such a great story, and they left it on such a cliffhanger. I'm just wanting to see what the next game is going to come out. So I was wanting to see more of that. Didn't really. They said that they pushed the release date. It was supposed to be 2019, but other things that people are hearing are like February of 2020.
Yeah. Just
because I think it Naughty Dog that's doing it, and they're known for pushing their games back.
Just give me another Jack and Daxter, please.
No, we're done with them.
You guys, no, I am not done with that.
We're done with
I
them.
am not done with that.
Moving on.
There's a new. Hey, man, they got the whole Mario legacy to do. Yeah, no.
It's fine. Give me more Sonic games. all day long. Give me more.
You're busy with Sonic Mania. You're fine.
It's true. Kind of am.
Well, I'd say it's still a little bit too early for, more Kingdom Hearts games. So
yeah, that was just released.
Yeah, I can't really complain about that.
Yeah, that Kingdom Hearts 3 is basically like people's Half-Life 3. It's like, where's the new one? And it finally came out. Still waiting for Half-Life 3.
Well,
by the way.
Just the other day, I did start critical mode on that, and oh my goodness, I'm barely into the second world, and I've probably died about 50, 60 times. No joke.
Haven't played it. La 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 la.
Well, everybody dies.
I don't want to hear about it.
Everybody dies.
Oh no, I'm just talking about the difficulty level on this because
I'll accept that.
Everybody dies.
I played through Proud mode, which is their hard mode, and played through it start to finish. Didn't really have any trouble getting into critical mode. Everything down to the most basic Heartless will knock you out in 1 or 2 hits. No joke, and it's just. It really is a huge challenge.
We'll beef up, Buttercup. Come on, let's go. Let's do this.
I'm working on it. you see my PlayStation
the grind
achievements.
is real. The grind is real.
Well, I think that covers our coverage of E3 that pertains to some retro gaming roots.
Yeah, we haven't touched everything.
Yeah, there's more for sure.
I mean,
there was so much.
Dead by Daylight,
new stuff I'm excited for.
Alien Isolation, Settlers of Catan's going to be on there.
Oh, the new Contra.
The new Contra. Right. So Mario and Sonic Olympics, the new Mario Crossing, all the Resident Evil games that are going to be on there. Resident Evil 0. What was it?
And the Traveling Good. There's going to be a Traveling Good
original game. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. I mean, they're all going to be put out on the Switch. There's a lot that we haven't touched that's out there. So look it up if you're interested in any of those.
Coming up with announcements, like I mentioned in the beginning, we will be at Five Threads Brewery in Westlake Village. Look them up. Come see our show. It's going to be July 8th.
July 8th.
And that's a Monday at 6:30. And so we'll be doing our theme, which we won't say yet, and we will have an opportunity for you to win some coupons for discounted beer at Five Threads, which they have amazing beer. You have to try it. Who doesn't like beer?
Beer.
I don't.
Who else doesn't like beer? No,
liquid cardboard.
Liquid cardboard, please. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. We will update you more on our social media. So that pretty much wraps it up for us. If you'd like to do the internet, drop us a line on Instagram at retro_game-night. Check out our website, www.retrogamenightpodcast.com. Give us your comments, your questions. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, stay calm, everybody. Stay calm.
Calm and peaceful.
Oh, and by the way, Majora's Mask, there's 24 wearable masks. I got that now.
As well. All is well.
Was there?
Turn tape over.
All is well.
No Gerudo mask, but they're the great